We are live. Hello and welcome back to the Business Octopus. And today we have a challenge that we're going to go through. A client has asked us a question, or one of the people in our community has asked a question about getting started in business. Sometimes we cover a lot of stuff that's a little bit more advanced in these sessions, but we thought we'd go back to basics. And whether you're at a networking event or whether you're in front of your potential customer intentionally, like they know what they're there for, you know what you're there for. There's a way to figure out what they're doing and what they need to be able to then offer your solution without it seeming like a pitch fest. I think, you should probably think about 70-30. 70% of you listening, asking questions, and then 30% of you talking. So what we're going to do is delve a little bit more into the problem and identify what it is that you need. But first, before we do, how you going, Amanda?
I'm great, Avon, and yourself?
We were both up early for this chat with the Americas time zone.
Yes.
A little bit tired. Did close a client accidentally in between then and now.
This guy
jumped on a call, identified the problems that he had, diagnosed, and provided the prescription, which was the service that I'm going to provide. And now I have to finish off the proposal and send the invoice. So basically proving what we're here to talk about today. So why don't we delve a little bit more into the problem side? So I've got a message from someone who was in our community and they wanted to understand a little bit more. They're just starting out, and the question was, need help on how to understand the client's business, spot their problems, and explain how my service can help them make more money, save time, etc. They've already got the technical skills, and they just want a simple framework for learning how they can quickly understand the customer problem and basically identify what it is that they're going to solve and communicate that. So I've got an idea. Why don't we dig into that a little bit more? What's the real issue in your mind, Amanda?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, and I think a lot of us have the same challenge, we're really passionate about what we do. We know what we do really well, but then when we start talking to a potential client, we start talking in our own language or in what makes sense to us. We're not necessarily listening. We might spot that they have a problem, but we're not communicating how our thing that we do, our zone of genius, solves their problem in a way that they understand and in a way that they can see the benefit. We might talk about the technical solution, but we need to take it a step further and talk about the pleasant side effects, if you like. So how is that going to help their business to move the needle forward or stack the deck in their favor? So Avon, how do we do that?
Well, this is a little bit meta, but we're kind of doing it right now, is that, a lot of times people are not spending time, getting the client really, or their potential client to really understand the problem that actually exists. Their language is, here's the output of what I feel. So, like if they go, I'm hot.
Right.
Maybe I'm hot, but the cause of that is the heater's on, right? Maybe they go, I'm sweating, right? That's the output of being hot. So they go, I've got this liquid coming out of my skin. Like, yes, I'm giving you an obvious, really simple answer, a problem here, but for ease of understanding, I've got, I'm leaking from my skin. I'm sweating, and so, or maybe all they know is they're leaking from their skin, and you, as the diagnosing of the problem, is to say, well, that's because you're sweating. That's what it's actually called. And it's caused by being too hot, or that's one of the causes. And so the cause of being too hot is you're sitting right next to the heater. Let's just turn the heater off. So without going straight to turn the heater off, but they might go, oh no, maybe the heater's off, but there's something else. Or, like, I'm trying to give a really dumbed down example. I don't think it's working, but
no, it's good. Like, okay, so you have that problem. Let's turn off the heater, right? So
let's find the root cause of that problem,
yes,
and solve that root problem.
Analysis. Yes.
Yeah. but what could have been done, because if maybe they're too lazy to go up and walk over there, you need to make them feel the pain and understand the problem. And so you would say, how does that make you feel? And they go, uncomfortable, a bit sticky. Okay. Is that something you want to solve? Yes. Okay. How much do you want to solve it? Well, quite significantly. It's really, really annoying. Okay. Well, why don't we go get up over there? We're going to turn the heater off. It's going to require your time, right? So like if you need to get the client's investment in time, the call I just had was, I'm after a framework, a this or that, to solve a problem. I'm like, it's not that simple. There is some stuff that you need to get in place in order to grow. In this case, this person wanted to grow their community. So that we jumped on a chat and they're like, I want a framework. I want a thing about content. I'm like, you need to convince humans to be a part of a group with other humans and give up their time. It's a little bit more than just having, let's put a framework, let's put a Band-Aid on it. There is something that you have to do and that I have to do, and that together we can get to that outcome. But let's talk about the problem first. Like, let's really drill down in and understand. We do have, hi Swifty, welcome. Thank you for leaving a comment. So yeah, I think, in the first bit is really just delve into the problem and go, and why is that an issue? What's that stopping you from doing? Really just ask them, what is this a big enough problem for you to want to solve right now? And that'll tell you how much time you want to invest in that conversation or going down that line of questioning. Or maybe they go, I don't like it, but I don't want to do anything about it. So, okay, so you're just having a whinge.
Which happens. Which happens. Sometimes we are professional counselors, are we not, Avon? Not professional?
Well, semi-professional, yeah. Because, I think that the professional has a duty of care, whereas I would just go, you're an idiot, do it anyway.
Correct. Yes.
You need someone to push you and force you. Like, and I think, a lot of times when people think they're the customer's always right. I think sometimes, particularly what we're finding, the more we are there as part of the consultant, and then we need to say, no, your thinking is wrong here. We need to change how we're framing the problem, or that's not going to solve the issue, or no, we shouldn't invest time and money in that because we're going to get to a position. Yes, in the short term, you could probably charge them to do that work. And that's exactly where we come in on a lot of rescue projects, is the other person, the other consultant that we're replacing has been the yes man or woman, yes, the order taker, the person that said, the client goes, I want this, can you build it? And they've gone, yes. Whereas we sit back and go, why? What's the outcome that you're trying to drive here? Because realistically, if you go and do that, you're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to get nowhere. Whereas you could do this thing over here, solve that problem in a different way. Yes, you're going to have to adjust a little bit, but the outcome is going to be significantly better. And it's that sort of reflective backwards and forwards. That's why I said at the start of the call, and I diagnosed too quick. Right? I shouldn't have said that at the start of the call, but I do firmly believe, 70% of dialogue, just clean, clear. Tell me more about this. What are you doing here? It sounds like this is what you're telling me. You need to confirm a lot of conversations. And then in the back end, that's when you can say, all right, well, it sounds to me like this is what we need to do. Does that sound right to you? Does that sound right to you, Amanda?
Yes, it does. Something I will often say to people, especially if they're having trouble articulating it, which is sometimes the case. I said, if I had a magic wand and I was able to wave it right now, what outcome do you want in 3, 6, 12 months from now? And that just kind of, the magic wand comment breaks their thought pattern, and they're able to go, oh, well, actually, this is what I'm looking for. And then you can start to pull that apart. Sometimes you need to reset them a little bit.
Yeah, because, and this is why I asked you for the notes, because we talked about that beforehand and I forgot that point. But what's the future state? Where do you want to end up? Because, one guy came to a networking event and he's like, I do printing. And everybody's like, sweet. It gave him all these printing leads. And he can do that all day long, but he just hates it. And, it's a bit soul destroying for him and didn't really want to go down that path. But if everybody said, what do you actually want to achieve? Then he'd say, oh, well, actually, I'm looking to grow in this area, which is more fulfilling. You know, I have more time in my day. You know, I actually want to transition away from that. And that would actually get them more happy, more on board with the outcome. And instead of it being like this thorn in their side, you know, like we acquired an IT company. That was very manual. There was no like good structure. Everything was ad hoc, and it was a nightmare because it was just like a million calls a day. And so we started to put these processes, and we said we're not doing that anymore. We're doing it this way. And after a while, the clients were way happier because they weren't on the phone every 5 minutes because stuff was breaking. We'd gone, we actually need to change what we're doing here because it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for us. I like my ability to not be on a phone call every 5 minutes of every day, and not be stressing because I've got 10 phone calls at 9 a.m. where I can only answer one. So part of it is designing the business that you want to run. And so asking them where they want to be is huge because you've listened to them as a founder.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us miss that. We don't think about what is the circumstance this person wants to be a part of. We might sell them a product which solves a problem, but then if we're not careful to take these steps at the start, like Avon's saying, they might get to the end and we've delivered a great product or service, but they're not happy with it because they had this other idea in mind as compared to what we delivered. So yeah, it's important that we really get to the bottom of what root cause analysis comes up again, of what they really want or really need, because it matters when we get to the end point and we've delivered it, because we want those 5-star reviews. We want those referrals when we've done a great job, and doing a great job is listening at the beginning and understanding what they really want.
We titled this How to Become Dr. Business. So just let's draw a comparison back to being a doctor. What happens when you go to the doctor's surgery? You've booked an appointment, you walk in, and the first thing they go is, okay, what seems to be the trouble?
Yes. And then you tell them your troubles.
Yeah. It's a pretty open question. And yes, sometimes you need to delve into that. So you need to ask a question that gets you the same result. Don't presuppose like, oh, so you know, like you've kind of got to lead them down a line of questioning without forcing them. So if you say, all right, how is, you know, for you, how is your team working for you in your business? You know, it's kind of it's broad, it's open, or like, have you been able to, how's business going? Like just general, like you've got to go, oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, we've been busy lately. You know, have you been able to take any time away, or is your team able to handle everything? So then they go, oh yeah, I've had a few troubles lately. I've had to, you know, I've constantly having to go back and do this. And then they've expressed pain and frustration and said, you know, I can't leave. I feel like you know, I'm managing cats and I can't, you know, get away from anything. Okay. So it sounds like some systems might help you to, you know, get away from the business. Does that sound about right? And they're like, yeah, I really need to get that sorted. Okay. Well, I actually happen to, you know, work in this space. Tell me more about, so one, you've said that you're an expert, but you're still not going on to the pitch at this point. You should say, and I know you're all over this, Amanda. I'm just using this as the example because it's
cool. It's cool.
Because I'm like having the sales chat with you in my mind. And then you say, well, I work in this space. I have a pretty good idea. Tell me what platforms or systems do you have in place? Do you have, for example, SOPs? Do you have a HR management system? Do you have, you know, learning management, etc.? And then they'll go, oh yeah, we've got this, we've got that. We tried this, we went down this path, and it didn't really work. We're like, okay, so it sounds like da 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 da, and you can see a pattern coming out where you've asked an open question. They've said it in their words. You then reflect it back in your words to say, it sounds like these are my words. And then they're like, well, yes. So what you're doing is you're actually anchoring them to your language, which might be the industry speak, but they've not been able to hear them, or they can't hear themselves say it in your language because, you know, like we said at the start of the call again, which was more like, I'm sweating. I've got stuff leaking out of my skin. It's really annoying. And you've come back and said, oh, you're sweating. And then they're like, oh, yeah, that must be what I feel. Like, that's a really obvious answer. But the point is the same. So anyway, that's kind of where I think if we can get them aligned with your thinking, your language, that you sound like you know what you're talking about, then they go, oh, I have a rapport, I have trust. And then you could say, well, look, if you like, I'd like to sit down with you, have a bit of a look, and then I can give you a recommendation on what you think. Because as long as you can start the dialogue, as long as you can start the discussion and have the conversation, now you're opening up to what the possibilities might be. You know, you're not just going straight into, I have a 12-step program and we do this. That works maybe if you're going to online where people are doing their research from a mile away and gonna like self-read everything before they get anywhere near you. Yes, you need to be very upfront and open and like, here's the pitch and here's the sell. Whereas in a conversation, you need to be more consultative, more conversational. Yes. You need to be more even keel, you know, not like ramming stuff down their throat.
100%. And just to call out something that you did really beautifully there, Aben. So he started with a really open-ended question at the start. So how's business going? And then it's like a funnel, right? Think of it like a funnel. We start to narrow things down until we get to the crux of where their actual challenge is and what needs solving. And at what point, you said, Aben, you said, you know, we're not pitching yet. At what point do we go for the soft pitch?
Well, you know, if it's 70-30, you know, at the start, we're really just identifying and getting aligned with what the problem is, what the language is, where there might be some issues. And the soft pitch is exactly that. You're not saying buy now and get a free set of steak knives. You're saying, if you like, I could take a look. That's the soft pitch.
Yes.
Because in the first conversation, like we have a 4-meeting process generally. It might go to 5 or 6, but the first meeting is like, could be a 10-minute call, could be a half-hour chat. Hey, who are you? Who am I? Are we a good fit? Do we align? Is there something that we could maybe talk about? If you've got more time, you can kind of blend call 1 and call 2 a little bit together, where, you know, call 2 is the technical deep dive. What is it that you're stuck on? Show me what you're operating with now, and then I'll show you what you could be doing. And then we come up with all right, is that where you want to go? Maybe we're going to take parts A and B, but not C and D because it's not relevant. And then from that, we'll say, great, we'll put together a proposal plan. That would be meeting 3, which is a yes or no, or I need more information, or let's tweak it a bit. And then the meeting 4 is either it should be kickoff, and starting with that. So if you take that 4-step framework, then you know that those milestones need to be met. You need to get alignment. You need to figure out what they want and show them where they could go. You then need to show them the plan that you've heard them say and have them agree to it. And then you need to have a jolt into action, like the kickstart, the kickoff meeting, to show, right, we're on this. Get all the things that you need. You get embedded in the program, in the project, and you're away. If you don't have that last step, if you just go, cool, we'll sign off, and then they're like crickets, they don't hear from you. You know, sometimes people feel like that's the finish line. That's not. The finish line is the project completed, and then asking for referrals and feedback and reviews and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes I see people go, oh, I've made the sale. And then they lose the customer after the sale, because that's entirely possible, because they didn't feel as though there was a logical next step. They didn't feel like it was being kicked off and started. It wasn't handed over to the rest of the team or any of that sort of stuff.
Yes, we have to keep people abreast or informed of what the next steps are. So just keep you in the loop, Aben. I'm going to book another call with you next Tuesday. What's your availability look like? Awesome. We'll get that in the calendar. Here's what's going to happen. I'll see you there. Right? Just got to always have that next step.
Yeah. You're the guide. You're leading them through the process, that they're stepping into the unknown, and you're confident, you're calm, and you know what the next steps are. And you go, look, this is easy. We do this with, 500 other clients. I've got you. I'll take care of you. No worries.
100%. Do not abandon your client's team. Keep them informed at every step of the way.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've had a pretty good chat here today. If you've got a question and you want us to address it, you can join us in the Relevate community down here. Whoop, that's the defense one. You just jump onto this one. And if you've got any questions that you want us to address, we can bring it into this live stream. We also go deeper dive in the sessions that we run and in the community events that we hold. So if you've got a problem, we'll solve it. Check out this link and we'll resolve it. Okay, so thank you for coming along. You stay classy.
See you next time.